Let's head straight over to meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees for a check of the forecast. And Brittany, another summer-like type day.
Yeah, every day so far, Nick, in October, we've seen highs in the low to mid 80s. So it is extremely warm. Once again, the high temperature so far today reaching 84. You can see abundant sunshine really across the board, as we did have that weak frontal boundary passing through yesterday. If you remember, 24 hours ago, we had a lot of that cloud cover and some of those spotty areas of rain. None of that mess today, but it is still pretty muggy outside, especially comparative to normal for this time of year. But this is changing. Once you get past Sunday and Monday, it is going to finally feel like fall. You can see the dew points, the humidity levels are going to plummet, and that's also going to drop the temperatures, both highs and lows, as that front, of course, is to our south. We'll have another series of cold fronts pushing through the area over the next few days. Now, the cold fronts themselves are going to be really great for us. One of the big reasons why, it deflects away any kind of tropical activity here from the Carolinas. I'll get to that in just a second, but it also does finally bring in that true fall feel. We should normally be in the upper 70s with lows in the upper 50s, but we've still been in the 80s and 60s respectively. So tomorrow is going to be one of those warm days once again. We'll start off in the low to mid 60s by the afternoon. You can see the high hovering just above 80 degrees. Again, things are dry. Our winds are calm. Nothing to worry about weather-wise other than the fact that it is still warm and humid. So with that being said, we talked about how fronts are going to be good for us. Let's talk about the tropics. So Tropical Storm Milton formed earlier today from what was Tropical Depression 14. It is way, way, way over in the western part of the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, you can see just off the east coast of Mexico. Now, this storm is expected to move closer to the state of Florida as we get toward the middle part of next week. Now, the one thing that I think we'll have to keep a very close eye on is the wind shear environment within this storm. The center of circulation will mean everything. So if it jots a little bit further to the north, this will go through an area of very unfavorable wind shear. You can see that shaded in red. But if it stays a little bit further south, you can see the wind shear is a little bit more neutral, if not favorable. Wind shear is really strong winds elevating with height and changing with height. We like those when it comes to, well, we don't like them. Severe storms like them because, of course, those updrafts, they grow. But hurricanes and tropical storms don't, because essentially they're flat moving across the Atlantic and it rips them apart from the top all the way down. So what can people in the state of Florida expect as we get toward next week and, of course, the end of next week too? Well, right now it does look like the storm, no matter what its intensity is, will make landfall likely in the middle part, if not the later part of Wednesday. Significant rainfall, very strong winds. The big question mark right now is where exactly the storm will go. It won't change the impacts for the entire state. Someone will see really strong storm surge and really high winds and, of course, all that heavy rain. It will just depend on where exactly. But those series of cold fronts are going to deflect any kind of that tropical activity away from us here in the Carolinas. In fact, you can see the next 7 days rainfall forecast. Things look extremely dry. So while we are not, excited by any stretch of the imagination for a storm to go somewhere else in the United States, the one thing we can be slightly thankful for is not to make a bad situation worse, especially in the western Carolinas. So we'll keep our, of course, thoughts and prayers for folks in the state of Florida. I'll let you know with any updates over the next few days. And of course, Brad will be back too tomorrow night with his own update as the storm progresses. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Again, we talked about the warmth sticking around the next 2 days, and then fall is on the way. Nick, you see those highs in the 70s and lows in the 50s. It'll stay that way all week, including next weekend. As the Panthers are back at home, it'll be a really great weather for that game.
Love to see it. All right. Thank you, Brittany. Well,